Hello. In my pre-anesthetic clinic, I received a patient who is posted for lap cholecystectomy. But in pre-anesthetic, let's say history taking, he told me that he had a percutaneous coronary intervention done just 2 months back. So what is my concern in this patient? Can I take this patient for an elective procedure like lap chole immediately, or there should be a certain delay that we need to practice for the safety of the patient to minimize the morbidity and mortality and cardiovascular risk in the patient, or we can take the patient immediately? And what are our consideration if this patient was not posted for lap chole, rather the patient was posted for some emergency or time sensitive surgery? So all these things we will discuss in this section. Now remember, these are the patients who, after percutaneous coronary intervention, they are on dual antiplatelet therapy. That is, they are on aspirin and one of the purinergic antagonists, that is PDY12 antagonist blocker, clopidogrel or ticlopidine, any of these drugs. And when patient is on these drugs, it increases the risk of bleeding during surgery. Barring some surgery, most of the surgery, there's an increased risk of bleeding. So we need to stop them. So what is the optimum time to stop them? For how long after a percutaneous coronary intervention we should avoid stopping them? Everything we will discuss. Let us start with three clinical scenario. One which I talked about, which I received a patient. Few more I have just jotted down. We will discuss what we will do in these scenarios after completion of our discussion. So a patient with chronic kidney disease and diabetes underwent PCI, that is percutaneous coronary intervention, with drug-eluting stent 2 months ago for an acute coronary syndrome. A TKR surgery is required. When it is appropriate time to put the patient for surgery? So he had a drug-eluting stent placed 2 months back, and he has CKD and diabetes, history of CKD and diabetes. So these two things we have to consider. Why? We will discuss. The next patient, a 65-year-old male with a stable ischemic heart disease, underwent elective PCI. So patient underwent elective PCI with second generation drug-eluting stent on to the left anterior descending artery 4 months back. So he had a PCI 4 months back. He is currently on aspirin and clopidogrel. He needs elective hernia surgery. What is the best recommendation? So can we take this patient, or we need certain gap in this patient also? We'll discuss. Then we have a 65-year-old male who underwent PCI with drug-eluting stent to left anterior descending artery 2 weeks ago following a non-stemming. He is currently on DAPT, that is aspirin and ticagrelor. He now presents with perforated bowel needing emergency surgery within 4 hours. What is the most appropriate management? So now my third patient is posted for emergency surgery. So what is my take in this patient? How do we proceed in this patient? So we'll come back again on these patients once we have finished discussion. So what is the standard duration of antiplatelet therapy after PCI? For how long we give we try to maintain the antiplatelet therapy after PCI? What is our, let's say, what is the recommendation? Now, what is the purpose of giving this antiplatelet therapy to the patient? The purpose of giving antiplatelet therapy after PCI is to prevent the stent thrombosis. Now, after a few months after putting the stent, the risk of thrombosis is very high. So, patient is always kept on dual antiplatelet therapy, and after some time, patient may be switched to one of the antiplatelet therapy rather than on dual antiplatelet therapy. So, what is the purpose? The purpose is to prevent stent thrombosis. Stent thrombosis. Now, which is highest few months after stenting. So, to prevent stent thrombosis. What is the optimal duration? Now, this depends upon the patient's risk factor, the place where the stenting has been done, and there are some patient related factors and procedure related factors, both. So, this depends on patient risk of stent thrombosis and bleeding. Now, so we have both procedure related and the patient related risk factors. So patient related risk factors, which we will discuss, and procedure related risk factors, and both these risk factors we will discuss. What are the risk factors? So what is the standard duration. Now, standard duration is to continue the dual antiplatelet therapy 6 to 12 months in patient who have undergone stenting, and for at least 1 month in the patient who has undergone balloon angioplasty. So 6 to 12 months is what is the recommendation. So it's 6 to 12 months. It's a range. And how do we decide this range? We will discuss further. Now, after DAPT therapy has been completed, we stop the P2Y12 receptor antagonist inhibitor, that is purinergic receptor inhibitor, and continue the patient on aspirin for a long term. In some patient is continued on clopidogrel and aspirin is stopped. And the patient who are at a higher risk of stent thrombosis. So that depends upon patient to patient, but this is what is the generalized, that if there is no reason of stopping the dual antiplatelet therapy after post stenting, it is continued for 6 to 12 months, and after 6 to 12 months the purinergic antagonist is stopped, purinergic receptor blockers are stopped, and patient is only put on aspirin. So this is standard recommendation. Now, how we can manipulate it, it depends upon the lot of patients factor. So let's talk about that. One more thing before, let's talk about the different type of surgery. Now, if my patient has a high risk of bleeding and I don't want to start the dual antiplatelet therapy, in them we have one alternative. We can go for the medicine coated balloon, the drug coated balloon, which requires a lesser duration of antiplatelet therapy. So we have an alternative in patient with high risk of bleeding, to use drug coated balloons. Now these are actually, they are a very promising alternative. They require a shorter period of DAPT, shorter period of dual antiplatelet therapy. So in patient with high risk of bleeding, we'll rather go for drug coated balloons, which are a better alternative. Now, so coming back, most of the patient have stent inserted in them. And why are we so much discussing all these things? Why not rather continue the patient for 6 to 12 months on dual antiplatelet therapy and not post the patient for any surgery? Because what does the data says? The data says that approximately 5 to 10% of the patient after stenting is coming for one or other surgery, elective or emergency. So approximately 5 to 10% of patients with coronary stent is undergoing non-cardiac surgery within 1 month of stent, within 1 year of stent placement, within 1 year of stent implant, right? And patient within 1 year of stent implant is on dual antiplatelet therapy, and barring some surgery, for most of the surgery we have to stop this dual antiplatelet therapy. So what are the time periods and what are the recommendation of stopping them? So risk of non-cardiac surgery after PCI. So 5 to 10% patients are coming for the non-cardiac surgery. What are the important risks of or in these patients after PCI? Now, first is risk of thrombotic events. Now, these patients are kept on DAPT to prevent the stent thrombosis. So, for surgery, when you are stopping one of the antiplatelet drugs, the risk of stent thrombosis increases, and this has a high risk of myocardial ischemia and infarction developing, and high risk of morbidity and mortality. So, what is the current data on this? The current data on this is that patient with DAPT, right? If we discontinue 50 to 70% increased risk of myocardial infarction, and 10 to 40% increased risk of mortality, right? Now, all the patients in whom we stopped the DAPT Do they have the same risk? Actually not. This is the risk in surgery. Surgery itself is a condition which increases the risk of thrombosis. It's a pro-inflammatory and pro-thrombotic condition. So because of this pro-inflammatory and pro-thrombotic condition, and when you are stopping the antiplatelet therapy, the risk of thrombosis increases. So remember, surgery is pro-thrombotic, pro-thrombotic and pro-inflammatory condition. And why so much pro-thrombotic condition in surgery? Because during surgery, there is increased platelet aggregation because of the blood stenosis, and decreased fibrinolysis happen. So increased platelet aggregation and decreased fibrinolysis, right? And the other problem is that if we continue DAPT, there is an increased risk of bleeding. So with exception of some surgery, most of the surgery, there is an increased risk of bleeding. Now low bleeding risk surgery like cataract, like your dental surgeries, in them we can continue with DAPT because they are surgery with low risk. But most of the surgeries, we need to discontinue the DAPT. So with exception of some surgical procedure, some surgical procedure. Now, what are those surgical procedure? Like your cataract surgery, like your dental surgery, like your skin, some procedure on skin surgery, right? So these are surgery with low risk of bleeding. In most of the other surgeries, we have to discontinue DAPT. Most other surgeries, we need to stop DAPT, right? For decreasing the risk of bleeding. Okay. Now, there is one important study which I want to quote before telling you about the recommendation. This study was published, this is a meta-analysis, and this was published in JAMA in 2013. Now, this is a observational study, retrospective observational study, in which risk of major adverse cardiac events following non-cardiac surgery in patient with coronary stent was evaluated. Now, in this 28,089 patients who underwent non-cardiac surgery within 2 years of stent placement, uh, a shorter time between stent placement and surgery was associated with higher risk of perioperative major adverse event. So, the total 28,000, near about 28,000 patients were evaluated till 2 years of post PCI, if they underwent surgery. And what was observed, that shorter the time period between stenting and the surgery, the risk of major adverse cardiovascular event MACE is higher. So what was their finding? Now, surgery less than 6 weeks after PCI, the risk of major adverse cardiovascular event was 11.6%. Between 6 weeks to 6 months, 6.4%. 6 to 12 months after PCI, 4.2% risk, and surgery more than 12 months after PCI, the risk decreased to 3.5%. Right. So this is something we have to keep in mind. This was a big study, and we need to keep the gap between elective surgery and the stenting as much as possible. If the surgery is not requiring immediate intervention, immediate surgery is not required. Got it? So let us see what is the recommendation. So for emergency surgery, it's an emergency surgery. We cannot do a thing. We cannot do a thing. But patient is on dual antiplatelet therapy. So what we have to do? We have to take the patient for surgery and give the platelet transfusion to minimize the risk of bleeding. So when I talked about my different patient, the third patient which I talked about, a 65-year-old male, underwent PCI with drug-eluting stent of left anterior descending artery 2 weeks, and he is currently on DAPT, and is now presents with perforated bowel needing emergency surgery within 4 hours. So he has undergone the drug-eluting stent only 2 weeks back, and we just discussed that lesser the gap between the surgery and the stenting, higher the risk of major cardiovascular adverse event. But it's an emergency surgery, so we have to get it done. So what we will do? We will take the patient for surgery, right? We will take the patient for surgery, take patient for surgery, and give patient, right, platelet transfusion and give platelet transfusion to reverse the effect of the antiplatelet therapy, right? So this is what we do in emergency. So let's see the flow chart which I have prepared for you.